Okay, hi everyone. Welcome. I hope you can hear me well. This is Frank Piller. I'm talking to you from Germany, Aachen, small town in the west of Germany. I'm here with RWTH Aachen. We consider ourselves to be the best, of course, Institute of Technology in Germany. We're a big engineering school. And at the same time, I also co-direct the MIT Smart Customization Group in Boston, Cambridge. So the topic of today's talk is cracking the code of mass customization. And it should very briefly introduce you in a framework we developed from really looking in many companies that do mass customization. I will define the term in a second. And this is just a very short version of a longer talk and also a paper. So I give you here by text chat my email address, and really feel free after the talk to send me an email. I'm happy to send you both a paper with more case studies and a longer version of the talk. Okay, let's start. So the theme why we are doing it is that many markets are changing. And if we just look in a few statistics, we really saw a huge explosion of variety for many product categories in the last 20 years. So 86% more car models, 200% more items on the McDonald's menu, 300% more screen sizes. This also involved a lot of really manufacturing to enable this. 3,000% more cable TV channels, and 5,700% more sports shoe styles. So why all this variety? And in many business books or other outlets, often variety or heterogeneity of demand is considered to be a threat. However, my point here is, no, it's not a threat. It's not a challenge we have to overcome, but it's a really new profit opportunity if you set up right systems and strategies to really profit from the fact that all people are differently, and not that we all have to put them in the segments, and within a segment we all consider them to be equal. So let me start very briefly with one example of a company I worked with a lot, and I think they're really doing mass customization in a great way. The company is Adidas, number 2 world sports company in the world, producing about 120 million pairs of sports shoes each year. And it's a typical mass product. Well, not really mass, it's high variety. They come up with about 8,000 different variants each season. But still, for some guys like Dave Beckham here, he always got customized shoes. Part of the sponsorship package, but with a very high price tag of $3,000 or so. But here in this slide, in this advertisement, it's saying, well, you can't have my shoes, but go build your own. And this is the Me Adidas Create Your Own program. There are many customization programs in the sneaker sports shoe industry, but this is special for a couple of regards. So the objective of Adidas to go into this was to reduce supply chain complexity. They said we have reached such a level of variety that even with high margins and very efficient supply chains and some good forecasting, it is a typical hit or miss. So instead of really guessing across 8,000 variants and many different outlets what consumers want, perhaps you just ask them and do for the average consumer what they also do for the top consumers, like the top athletes. The system was originally launched already in 2001. It grows slowly over the years, still a worldwide operating business unit. Shoes are manufactured in Asia in the same outlets that do the inline products, and are delivered in 2 to 3 weeks. Adidas is able to charge a premium of 30 to 50%, so this results in a retail price of roughly $150 for a fully custom-made shoe. The process starts differently than normally buying a shoe. So you go to a specially equipped store, they take some foot measurements of you, they also take a pressure scan so that you can customize the insole of the shoe. You also can go for the aesthetic design, but it's really about performance, function, and fit. Okay, so when Adidas introduced it, they realized, well, on the first instance, we have some nice effects. Well, we have higher manufacturing and shipping costs, but at the same time, no unwanted products, never out of stock. You can reorder the shoe you like. Really increase flexibility to add new options. Also at the same time a reduction of complexity across the supply chain, as instead of really forecasting up to the level of each individual outlet which variety should be placed, they can hedge this more from a central manufacturing. So, but then over the years, they realized, no, it's not just about efficiency and this Dell effect. No, it's much more about also going into different engagement and different relationships with customers. So, if you consider a typical purchase, so you go into the store, you configure the shoe, you give them a lot of data. So, but not just about your feet measurement, but they may also ask like how many miles you run. And then they say, okay, yeah, perhaps 50 miles a week, this is what I would do. Okay, they store this data to fulfill the order. And then in some markets, after you got your shoes, 2 weeks later or so, you get an email asking you, do you like your shoe? Is it okay? And you may say, yeah, the fit is perfect, but I was a little bit too brave with the color combination, so next time, let it all have it just in black. Okay, but then they also know if you're running 50 miles a week or so, that about after 5 months, you should need a new pair of shoes. So they can send you very easily just an email by saying, hey, I think it's time for a new pair of shoes, with the result that people are subscribing to shoes. And by following this circle perhaps another time, it's really a continuous optimization on the knowledge Adidas gets about each individual consumer here. And honestly, of course, Adidas is not changing entirely to mass customization. But then if they aggregate the knowledge they have about individual consumers into knowledge on this segment of customized consumers, this is really very valuable knowledge for the entire customer base. So it is on the one hand side a marketing tool, but it's also a market research tool, providing access in a very unbiased way to customer knowledge beyond the typical effect of being people in a survey. Here, if you have sweaty feet, you will tell them honestly everything about your sweaty feet, as you want perhaps this climate option. To a market researcher on a survey, you may be much more conservative about this. So mass customization defined, and what we see here is really profiting from exploiting heterogeneities across customer needs. Another definition of mass customization is that you produce goods and services to meet individual customers' needs, but that you can achieve it with mass production efficiency. And the latter really is a core point here, and I will focus on the how to achieve this. As it's very important that mass customization is not about reinventing craft, or tailor-made or bespoke. No, it's really about doing something customized for the majority of your customers, but still with mass production efficiency. This, by the way, does not mean that you have to have the same price level. Often we observe that companies can get premiums of 100, even 200%, but the important point is that you don't really switch the market segment. While traditionally in tailor-made with premiums of 3,000% or more, you were really targeting a very different market segment. Okay, so, and mass customization has provided great opportunities, as for Adidas, the German automotive industry, Capital One for credit cards, Dell computers. But there also has been some really huge failures, like Levi Strauss. After 10 years doing it, they stopped it. Procter & Gamble with Reflect.com. It's a more delicate story, more you have to look on it differentiated, but after really a huge investment into a customized cosmetic site, they closed it. So with my core stuff, we were really interested in what is behind these success stories of companies that made it and those that did not make it. And interestingly, Forrester Research very recently published this study where they said also after many years of attempt, mass customization is finally here. So what do we see of companies that really do succeed in mass customization? We find that they share 3 core capabilities. And this is based on research I do with Fabrizio Salvador at IE Business School in Madrid in Spain. So on this slide, you see somehow how mass customization works. We have a portfolio of customers, meaning your target group, your target market. Then we have a portfolio of capabilities. Consider it as the options, the solution space, and I come to it, all the options where customers can choose from. And this is somehow the setup, and then to create a customer-specific solution, the customization, an individual customer would pick an arrangement of options. Okay, easy, illustrated, a little bit more difficult to execute. And so the first capability is what we call robust process design. It is really the capability of companies to provide an individual order out of all the possible combinations without any discrimination in cost. So let me give you a good example. Lulu.com or other companies for self-publishing, which are absolutely disrupting the publishing industry. So on Lulu, you can publish whatever you want. And whatever you do there, it is all done on the site entirely automatically with a robust process. So let's say you wrote something and you're not Ken Follett. If you're Ken Follett or another bestseller author, you would not refer to it. But like 98% of authors, and mainly of technical books, are not Ken Folletts. So they may have a text with a few people being interested in. On this side, they can upload it. They select the price, they select the color, they title the book, they perhaps upload a nice picture, and then with a click of a button, if the book is ready, in 5 minutes you have placed it not just on the Lulu website, but in Borders.com, Amazon.com, and so on. So independently how big you are, how small you are, it's always the same process. And you get access over this automatic site to a very, very customized way to publish whatever you want, in any volume you want, to a price you want. And for Lulu, well, you never talk to any human. It's a very robust process. And the good thing is, why they can do it is, they have this modularity on the software level, but then in this industry they have the beauty that in many wholesalers, the warehouses are these very flexible production systems, big Xerox printers, for example, which whatever PDF file they get, they just print a book in a single step, comes out with a hardcover without any interference that is possible there. Another great example is from Coca-Cola, the freestyle system. I think they are now slowly rolling it out in the US. So a system where you can customize your drink in a store. And it's a perfect system, example of a robust process. As whatever drink you collect, whatever drink you select, it is produced with some like inkjet printer-alike cartridges. And consider your inkjet printer at home. You can print whatever you like from just a few modules or color combinations. And so whatever customers choose, the system produces it with any interference. So robust process design, and now the typical business school professor slide, very easy thing but complicated expression. So it's the capacity of the organization to reuse or recombine its resources to address variability in customer requirements, to ensure resource efficiency and reliability of delivery. And again, I am happy to give you much more details in a follow-up. The second capability is really to create the solution space. And this is a capability where at least the research has been done, and where a lot of companies are really doing it very much in trial and error. So let's consider you want to customize a credit card, and there are nice offerings out there. But then the trick is first at all to really decide what are the options where really heterogeneity of customers differ, and at the same time along those options which are really sub-options where customers want choice, or which may be options where everyone has the same impression. And the beauty really of a good mass customization system is not to offer unlimited choice, but to really focus choice on the few options where people really are differently. So solution space design is really the ability of the organization to identify these needs where people are different. And this is much easier said as executed. You can do market research. There's great ways now to get this information from analyzing user communication, doing ethnography on the internet, analyzing user communities. But you also, as a mass customizer, really can do it by trial and error. And this is what Adidas is doing. So instead of doing a lot of market research and setting up the system, they're continuously reviewing the files, the log files, seeing which options people considered, which they selected, which they put onto a configuration or not. So you get a lot of data, but you have to analyze it. And from our surprise, when we studied many, many mass customizers, they really don't take advantage of looking in their past configurations for that. The third capability, the last one, is choice navigation. So meaning helping an individual customer to really find what she or he wants to have. And this is also not so easy. So when Fiat reinvented the Fiat Cinquecento, the Fiat 500, an iconic European car from the 60s and 70s, sold almost 4 million times, a typical mass product. When they relaunched it in 2007 for the European market, the car now has been introduced in the US market this year, they said it should be still a car for the masses, but a car that really stresses individuality. So it comes, from this beginning, it came with about 600,000 combinations. So at the same time, when engineering the car, setting up a flexible manufacturing system, considering really what are the color options people want to have, Fiat also needed to develop a different kind of sales system. And we may call it a configurator, a co-design toolkit, or however, but you need a system that really translates the demands and requirements of a customer in a product specification. And this is what we call choice navigation. You can do it by elicitation, so really by asking customers what they want. And this is how like 90% of all mass customization sites are organized. But on the other side, you also are organized, but this may be not enough, as there always often you face complexity of choice. So another great model of choice navigation is Pandora. And everyone in the audience from the US will know it and probably love it. This is what I miss most when moving back to Europe. As Pandora is a music system, for the one who do not know it, that provides a really customized music stream to your favorite mood. And you don't have to tell them anything what you would like to hear, vocal music, female voices, whatever. No, you just give them one song you like. And then they automatically customize a stream of songs based on the characteristics of this one song. So these choices, they're able to create a model of what you like. So choice navigation is really the capacity of a company to create models and understand how customers make choice and help them to minimize complexity of choice, but also at the same time to really maximize the enjoyment of the process. And here we learned by some research that often choice navigation is not just about minimizing burden of choice or mass confusion, as it has been called. No, it also can become a great source of customer experience. So, famous example here is Build-A-Bear, a toy store where you can customize a bear. And actually in this store, they're really selling the experience of customizing the bear. Kids, what we know from quite some research, are not interested in customized product. They want exactly the same Power Ranger or so as a neighbor next door. But in Build-A-Bear, they are really buying like 1 hour of an experience in the store to co-create the bear. And from research, we know that about 50% of the additional willingness to pay for consumer goods and also services. So 50% of the additional willingness to pay for customized good cannot just be explained by the higher functional value, the better fit. No, but really the process satisfaction of obtaining the product and effects like pride of authorship, a flow experience during the process. And also this is one of the really unexploited opportunities of mass customization. It is also very much, or often too often I would say, even positions as a very functional thing and not really capturing these opportunities. Okay, I think last slide. So how do we relate these capabilities with each other? So we can say, well, mass production is on the one hand side and pure mass customization on the other. But this is more a theoretical model. And you don't have to succeed in mass customization if you're 100% along all capabilities. But let's say you're an established company and don't want to customize your manufacturing. Still, you can profit from mass customization thinking by employing a toolkit for choice navigation to just help people navigate an assortment. As we learned, it may be often much easier, instead of providing long catalogs of predefined products, to provide a kind of configuration toolkit that helps people to formulate a question better, and then based on their offered preferences, match existing products to their preferences. Or robust processes. If you consider a company like Zezo or Cafe Press, and they now do a lot of business, and these are companies that allows consumers to customize, but also other established companies to offer customization. So a brand cooperating with them may bring their solution space. They also may perhaps bring their front end, but they can outsource the fulfillment to the specialized infrastructure of companies that just focus on really robust processes. So the point here is not that whether you want to mass customize and really produce on demand. It is somehow an ideal point, and a small step along one dimension can already be a large step for your business. And I think this is one of the mistakes that has been done with regard to mass customization. It has been seen really as an opposite strategy for mass production, but we think it's not. There are a lot of gray in between these two dimensions. So, to conclude, come back to this in a second. To conclude, there are many ways to really bridge a street, as this innovative traffic light from New York showed. And so there are also many ways to mass customize. And this is what we explore, so allow 30 seconds at the end of an invitation to Berkeley in late November, where about, I would say, 500 people will gather. Most of the people running mass customization businesses around the world, or co-creation with customers. And on this event, we really meet as a community of people interested in these topics. There will be like 15 presentations just on choice navigation, 20 presentations just on robust processes. So it will be a great opportunity to engage and learn. It's MCPC 2011, and would be very happy to welcome you there. Okay, that was it. I hope, even if I really had to rush through the slides, could give you a little bit an idea of a framework of mass customization. We empirically tested that with about 200 mass customizers. So we have really hard data that these companies that succeed are better along these capabilities than others that are just, trying it out. Thank you very much. And I'm now happy to answer any questions. Okay, so one question I got was, what about service customization? Yeah, great question. And this is a question I get since, let's say, 10 years. And it is still very much true that a lot of customization that is documented is on products. The main field of application of mass customization is clearly in B2B. But more and more in B2C products. However, for services, I would say very often the same principles apply. If you consider the financial industry or insurance product, like a credit card. So what is a credit card? Well, we can call it a product, but it's a convenient service. And there are some great achievements. And of course, it's a little bit more difficult in services to define a solution space and something like a modular architecture. But I think it can be done. And interestingly, if you consider back the case of Adidas, in the end, what Adidas is selling, it's not a product. It's a service. They are really helping you to achieve your goals much better. And well, the vehicle is a product, but the perception of consumers in this process is very much that of a service. Okay, another question was, from the customer point of view, to most customization derive from a desire to improve performance or customized style. I would say we honestly don't know. There's very little reliable research of what consumers want with regard to customization, as most of the market is, let's say, technology push, meaning most of the offerings that are available for customization are set up by companies. And interestingly, 80% focus on aesthetic style, so style customization. However, we know that from their performance data, those companies are more successful that not just offer style customization, which very much has a novelty effect. So you may just customize the colors of your sneakers 1 or 2 times, and it's great to deliver this process satisfaction. But where really customer retention and loyalty comes from is from fit and functionality. So I really strongly encourage people not just to think on style customization, but on functionality and fit. And given that these companies show better performance, I would also say that also shows that in the end, people are interested what the product or the service is doing for them, and not just how it's looking alike. Okay, well, now lots of questions. Front end. Okay, yeah, there was one question by a German guy, Wolfgang Grühl, about required production capabilities and how to connect this with the front end. And this is a lot of, this is like the starting point of most mass customization initiatives. And when setting up a mass customization business, for products and services, most managers start to think on the robust processes, flexible manufacturing, flexible software and services like to customize contracts. However, from our knowledge, almost no customization businesses failed because of production technology. As people focus on this, and a lot of research in academia but also in industry has been done. The problem is, as you write in your questions, to connect it with the choice navigation front end. And for us, this is part of a robust process. So it is not good if someone has to operate a design or have to install, fine-tune a machine. There has to be a connection between what people do in a configurator and the production system. The problem of this is that very often the choice navigation or the toolkit is developed last. But we say, no, you should develop it continuously or simultaneously, as the configurator, the solution space has constraints and as has manufacturing. And the main problem resides from that often you first set up manufacturing, then the solution space, and then you hire some agency to set up the navigator or the toolkit. But you should really do this at the same time as these systems influence each other. Okay. Let's see. Okay, interesting question from BrandSquare. Having bought 2 pairs of Adidas custom shoes, the process of romancing the clearing, as I like to, seem to be missing. Is there someone out there romancing the process well that you know? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. And perhaps also go a little bit to the downsides and the difficulties of mass customization. As the Adidas system looked very nice as I presented it, and many others. But often, and this is still very surprisingly for me, it is very difficult to execute it in an existing company where the majority of the mindset still is mass production. And I see there's a couple of people from you from really large consumer good companies, and now the bad news to you. There are almost no big, successful, established, serious businesses by established big consumer good companies in mass customization existing yet. And most of the innovation in this field is really coming from startups. Dell was a startup being built on the promise of mass customization. And I find, and this is also one of the aspects that has been not covered a lot or sufficiently when setting up a mass customization system, is that often you think on the technologies behind, but you don't think about the people. And so in companies like Adidas, everyone in the sales organization hates me Adidas. Why? Well, if I'm a sales associate, normally I make a deal with a key account, sell 10,000 shoes at the beginning of the season, job done. In the mass customization setup, I sell a promise that perhaps over the season people will come up and place orders. And this is really interestingly that in large companies, it seems to be difficult. There are many, many pilots. So most big consumer good companies have a mass customization pilot. But there are very few are at a scale that they are serious. Serious being defined as, if I close it tonight, we will realize tomorrow on the balance sheet. So, and this is where, of course, startups have a big, big advantage, as they don't have this past. They don't have existing processes. So if someone is there in the audience really from a large consumer good company considering mass customization, really consider it setting it up in a spin-off organization, or we're very aware of the organizational inertia, the organizational resistance to this. Okay, so many questions. I'll just take one very randomly. Kevin from London. The impact you foresee for additive manufacturing on mass customization. So additive manufacturing, also called 3D printing, rapid manufacturing, is this technology what has been used from prototyping, where you can build any product from layers from a powder, often stabilized by a laser. Well, Kevin and others, there's been long talks. There's a great book by Burns, 25 years ago, published 25 years ago, and he talks on an entirely customized world based on additive manufacturing. And we slowly see this happening. And of course, an additive manufacturing system is the most perfect, robust process, as within a single production step, you can produce whatever you want. In a European project, we did a customized shoe. So we can print high heels. So scan auto construction from the CAD to the machine, and out comes a high heel entirely customized to women's feet in a single production step. And this works perfectly in research. Often in practice, I think the problem is that machines are still expensive, materials are expensive, but especially the capability to design for these kinds of products is still just being built. But I'm very optimistic, as since 20 years we talk about it, but I see a lot of startups in this field, also much more application in the last, let's say, 1 year, 18 months. So I predict that in the next year, or perhaps 2013, we will really see much more additive manufacturing being used in a large scale for mass customization. In the moment, it's smaller pilots, or users, consumers really have to still be very much engaged in the design process, but it's not as easy as customizing sneakers on Nike ID. Okay. Let's say, what else do we have here? Scott Heidi, technical limitations make mass customization difficult. Have you done any work to match implementation technologies on solution requirements? Yes, not too much. There has been work done. Write me an email and I'll send you the full data of a great book by a colleague from Denmark, Lars Ham, spelled H-V-A-M. And he's a world-leading expert in setting up configuration systems, solution spaces, and the manufacturing system at the same time. And he has a great methodology for it if you are a more B2B bill of material kind of product producer. And so there are approaches, but I think from our experience, as long as you are aware that there are strong relationships, this already is a big step forward. And surprisingly, many companies just set it up sequentially. Okay. Can Six Sigma methodologies be used in service customization? probably, as Six Sigma is a great way to achieve robust processes. So if you are ahead of Six Sigma thinking in your company, I think this is a great way really to build robustness in your processes. And especially for services, as if you want to customize it, probably you have to put it in a kind of software and that has the modular elements of the service. And to create these kind of stable software and also the matching the options, I believe Six Sigma thinking can help. But honestly, I'm not a Six Sigma expert. Okay. Good. Let's see, anything else? What are some of the barriers to continued mass customization implementation? Great question. So I think on the startup theme, entrepreneurship theme, we are in very great shape for mass customization. And here on our conference we will have in San Francisco in 6 weeks from now, we will find many, many great startups that really became big, several hundreds of millions of dollars. And they really learn about, and there's a lot of trial and error learning, and this takes back. In large companies, I think the barriers, as I said, are mentally, it's a different kind of business model. At Adidas, before they started with Me Adidas, customers were the country's subsidiaries, perhaps some key accounts, but never the consumers. Now with mass customization, individual consumers are directly interacting with the company, which sounds very simple for many startups, but it is some kind of a revolution for a big company. Also, if you consider channel conflicts or something, the brand awareness or the brand positioning of this company. And so, while I strongly believe that established companies can really benefit from their past, their brands, the trust, the capabilities to implement mass customization, I think they really have to focus more on the execution aspect. The good news is that in the last 2 or 3 years or so, an entire infrastructure for mass customization came up. These platforms for mass customization, which I mentioned earlier, like Zazzle, CafePress, Spreadshirt in Europe. So nowadays, if you want to set up a mass customization operation, you can outsource really a lot to specialized players. And I would say in closing, within 1 day and a clever concept, you can run a mass customization business, as many of the steps can be outsourced. And probably this will really help industry to succeed by using these capabilities. Okay, so I think we are running out of time and are more or less at the end of the program. Thanks a lot for listening and staying all the time here. I'm going home now. Here it's almost 8 o'clock at night. Thanks for attending, and would be really great to see you at the MCPC in San Francisco, and perhaps we meet there. Otherwise, really pop me an email, and I'm very open to answer your questions also then via email or send you more information. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.